everyone, it's Madison. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my riding journey and how I got to where I'm at right now. So I really started riding in 2014. I had ridden before a little bit. My sister leased a horse that I'd get on about once a week. But up until this point, I had really ridden consistently. In 2014, I seriously started leasing. This pony, Charlie, was my very first lease horse of my own. She was a gray 14-2-hand POA pony that had never really done much before. I got her. She was a Western pony, well, before the family that I rode her for got her. The year before, she actually was out for most of the season. I rode her a little bit then, but my career didn't start taking off until 2014. We did our first real big hunter show. We did the 2.6s. It was just a local show, but before that I'd never shown her above 2 foot. And a couple weeks later we did our very first eventing show. This was both of our first eventing show, and we only added some time to our dressage score. We were in 3rd place after dressage. I managed to stay there to finish my first event in 3rd place, which was absolutely crazy. So I was in 8th grade at this point in time and had only done hunter jumper stuff up until then. She was an amazing pony. I miss her so much, but she just got too old. We did pink and green as our cross-country colors, and looking back, that was not the best choice when she had pink skin, but I remember those 5 minutes of me trotting around that cross-country course. I guess I canned a little bit. Those were like the most fun 5 minutes I've ever had in my entire life, and I was hooked. Stadium on basically all of the horses I've ever ridden has always been my best phase. I think just because I'm most confident in there. That was Charlie's best phase was dressage. I felt like I always did the best in stadium with her though. So right after that show, we went to our very first jumper show. I think I only did the 2.6s there, and I don't know, I've always loved show jumping, and I've always wanted to get more into it. But that was Charlie. So a year later, Charlie actually ended up fracturing her skull. She was kicked in the head by another horse, and luckily she's totally fine, did not suffer any long-term injuries or anything like that, but she had a lot of time off, which meant I would ride this horse named Timberline. So he was amazing. I rode him 3 days before my very first event on him because I was signed up on Charlie, and he was a 16-year-old paint that had evented up to novice before but hadn't done anything in 3 years. He was such a champ. I have never had a horse that just packs me around like that. I've always ridden these inexperienced ponies, but he was so much fun. I would totally be riding him more if he still was up for it. So these pictures are actually from my birthday when I turned 14. Things started getting really big on him, which was amazing. Or we were actually able to do more big things on him just because he was such a packer, been there, done that kind of guy. So I did my first 2'9" jumper show, which was a local show, but we ended up getting 2nd. He was so much fun. We went cross-country schooling all the time, and we jumped the biggest I've ever jumped, which was about 3'7", I think. He was such an awesome guy, man. We jumped this fun corner here. He was so cool. He really was an amazing horse that just gave me so much confidence no matter how terribly I rode. I ended up getting my D3 certification pony club rating on him, which was awesome just because Charlie did not have the very best cross-country track record, even though our eventing record was amazing. I just rode her really aggressively. But Timby was awesome. I ended up moving it to beginner novice a couple weeks later after I did my D3 with 2 of my best riding friends, Chloe and Lauren. Yeah, this is just at the Colorado Horse Park. He was so much fun. this horse actually got loose and ran behind us, and he just kept going. I didn't really know what to do. It wasn't a problem, but this was the very first time I ever finished on my dressage score, and we ended up getting 5th, which was so much fun. And again, this is kind of when things really started picking up for me, just because even though I've only run one novice since I did my beginner novice 4 years ago, my very first one, it really was just amazing for me to see how I could ride this one little gray pony who I never really had any experience, and 3 days later get on to this other big horse. It really just proved to me that it's not necessarily the level that matters, but being able to do it with a different horse is such a good experience and such a good opportunity. So Charlie eventually healed again, and we started trying to get back in the swing of things. Just went cross-country schooling and stuff. We did a clinic with Will Simpson, which was so much fun. He's actually one of my friend's uncles. So 2016 rolled around, and that was our D3 team winning Pony Club quiz rally, and Charlie and I really started clicking. We did our very first beginner novice. Oh, that was the biggest jump I ever jumped in here. We did some hunter shows, which we were not very good at, obviously, because we were fast, and I, at the time especially, had absolutely terrible equitation. Yep. It's just, we always won the handy hunter rounds because we were really good with the jumpers on a good day. This was obviously not a very good day, it was just a good experience. But it was just really good for Charlie and I to both get our confidence back after her having so much time off, especially because she had never really done it much to begin with. This was back when I decided my cross-country colors would be red, black, and blue for forever. And they still are. We did our very first beginner novice and ended up getting 13th because I feel like I had like 40-something seconds of cross-country time. We just went so slow. That's right. She was so much fun, though. Dressage was pretty decent, I think. I don't really remember. But I was just so happy just to finish our very first beginner novice because, I don't know, I wasn't really sure how things would end up after she fractured her skull. That's one of my favorite pictures ever. Stadium, like I said, has always been so fun. It's always been one of my favorite parts. I mean, I obviously love cross country, but I just get so stressed about it. Next year I want to try to do more rated jumper shows with Penelope. But Charlie was an amazing jumper. She just got old and had some arthritis. Other than that, if she hadn't, I would have probably pursued doing more with her after I gained a little bit more experience. As you can see, our rides were not, like, always the prettiest, cleanest things ever, but as long as you're being safe and having fun. So Charlie and I, a couple months later, did my C1, and I passed it, which was crazy to think how far I've come in 2 years. I've gone from C1 to my HB. And then, so I did that the week after my first beginner novice on her, and then a couple weeks later, we went out to the Abbey Ranch event, where we ended up getting 6th. Still, we went from 1st to 6th because of cross-country time, but, that's alright. We were getting closer and less slow. Faster. What am I talking about? That was so fun. And then a couple months later, in August, we did the event at Colorado Horse Park. This show is absolutely amazing. Penelope and I were in first place after dressage by over 2.5 points. I vividly remember this, on a 29. And second place was like a 31.7. She was just such an amazing horse. Yeah, that was a good day. That was a good test. As you can see, I don't have a dressage saddle. The one time I did was Charlie's owner's mom had it. But so, funny story about this is you can hear, possibly, the announcer says, and your overnight leader is Madison Rich and Charlie's Angel in first place, and I ended up knocking the very first rail, which was so unfortunate because if we had knocked that rail, we still would have won because I only had 2.4 cross-country penalties, but we ended up getting second. But cross-country was amazing. I started to get more and more confident in her just because she's kind of a dirty stopper, or was at the time. That was such a good show. So we ended up getting second, which is how we qualified for Area 9 Championships, and I can't remember if we qualified for ACs. I don't remember what the rules were way back when, but that was so fun. There's my dad. He comes to almost every horse show. He's the best. And then I got Penelope. I got her. I flew out to see her on July 30th, and I got her on October 16th, I want to say. I don't remember the exact date she ended up coming because she came like 4 days later than she was supposed to, which really worried all of us. That's her on the trailer. She came in around like 11 o'clock, and then the trailer, like the shipping company trailer, wouldn't fit under the tunnel that goes to our barn, so we all had to hand walk her about 2 to 3 miles on a dirt road to the barn at 11 o'clock at night. Oh, that was a crazy night. But there's little Miss Penelope, when she's only 5 years old. That's my sister with her. I was still leasing Charlie and just wanted to finish out the year as best as possible. So this is the Colorado Western Hunter Jumper Show year-end show. Penelope and I absolutely killed it. She was so amazing. We went double clear on everything, I believe. Yep, I'm looking at my ribbons right now. And we ended up winning grand champion of the whole children's adult amateur jumpers for Quadra, which was so amazing because just to think like how far she had come. Like 2 years ago, she wasn't even jumping cross rails. That was a great show though, and that was so fun. Penelope and I started doing more. She was still super green. And then this is Charlie and I at the Area 9 Championships. This show did not go as best as I had hoped. Dressage was great. Not our best test, but it still was nothing to be ashamed of. And then unfortunately, Penelope and I had the first ever stop we have ever had cross-country at a show. Went double clear stadium, as always. I think we went double clear. I don't think we had any reels. But my point is, that one stop made me so mad! Because we would have gotten like second or something, but we ended up getting 10th because of our stop. But I remember only like 30% of the people in that division didn't have refusals. So, that's alright. I couldn't be too upset about it. But that was the last show I ever did on Charlie, which I was kind of sad about because I had hoped it had ended better, but I just can't be too disappointed with that amazing jumper show we just done, and just getting the chance to even ride her was great. Her owner actually came and watched me for the first time ever, I believe, which was fun. I was so proud of her. Good little Charlie. Now she's like 17 or 18, having a good life. But yeah, like I said, she's an amazing jumper. Like, look at those little knees. So there's Charlie's owner's family. A couple weeks later, Penelope and I did our first little event together. We just did a combined test, and we ended up getting 5th in the elementary division. We went 1 minute and 38 seconds under the optimum time, which was absolutely insane. That was so fun though. And then we did this little cross-country pace thingy at our barn Halloween show, which honestly was like the first time I really noticed like how much fun I could have with Penelope. We started doing more things with her. I tried to introduce her to some new things like jumping single barrels and grid work, things like that. Oof, that was a sticky one. I know I put that one in here of all things. Later, Penelope and I did our very first event. I don't really remember what we went, but she was so fun, man. Penelope is just such a fun little pony. She isn't always, she gets really nervous. She can get really nervous. She's getting so much better about it since over the past 2 years. But there she is, obviously keeping those little knees up. Oh, this year we ended up 7th. I remember that. Dressage probably was really feisty as always. Cross country is probably really fun. Oh, this is Penelope's first ever jumper show. This was so fun. She was booking. To this day, I have yet to have a single fault in stadium at an eventing show ever, and I think I've only ever had 2 at a jumper show, but obviously you do a lot more rounded jumper shows, and I never ride as well, just because I'm more hurried and things like that, because of, what's it called? A jump off, there we go. But, Penelope was so fun, and how did we do at this show? I think we got a 1st, 2nd, and a 3rd in the 2'9" children's adult amateur jumpers. A couple months later in July, I actually had the opportunity to go to Pony Club National Championships as the stable manager for the local team that is about an hour away from us, which was so fun. When I got back, Penelope and I just kept working. That was funny. That was her first time ever going up a down bake wall, at least in the time that I've had her into water. Penelope and I ended up going to the Quadra year-end jumper show, and we ended up getting reserve champion for the children's adult amateur jumpers, which I was kind of hoping we'd win champion, because then I could say I won it 2 years in a row. That's alright. I've been really lucky to have some amazing stadium ponies. Then Penelope and I went to another event at the Calder Horse Park, and this show was one of the best shows I've ever had on her. Well, up to this point. She was so amazing. Obviously, stadium we went double clear. Dressage sucked the least amount it had ever sucked. And then cross country, I think we only added like 3 seconds of time, because at this point in time I wasn't trusting enough in her to not walk into water. So I spent a lot of time walking to water with her. But that's alright. I was just so happy that we finished, and we ended up getting 4th. And yeah. In about December, Penelope and I just started working with a dressage trainer just to give us a little bit of advice. And she honestly has come so far since that training. So I've been so grateful for the opportunity to work with this amazing trainer. Then springtime rolled around and Penelope started getting in our groove. In about February or so, we started schooling more and getting out there and just getting her getting more experience and confidence with her leading the group and stuff like that. This is the event at Skyline. This is by far the best event Penelope and I have ever done. We ended on our dressage score of a 26.9 to get 2nd. The girl who beat us had the best the best dressage score of the entire show, which was like a 22 or something absolutely ridiculous. But Penelope was such a champ. I actually started trusting her to like canter into water. Look at that, and she didn't even care. She was such a good little pony at the show, man. So this is the main event that qualified me for the American Eventing Championships. We ended up moving up to novice. Ooh, look at this fun little corner AV combo. A couple weeks later, I think it was like 3 weeks later, we did our first novice. Cross country did not go as planned, neither did dressage. She was just so stinking wound up, but I was so happy to say that we once again went double clear in our first novice stadium, and this was the biggest course I'd ever done in her off-property. The entire stadium course was about 3'1" to 3'2". I walked it and was like, well, here we go. But I was so proud of her. She was such a good champ. She loves stadium so much. So we moved up to the 3-foot jumpers a couple weeks, 2 weeks later, I believe. And she was so amazing. I mean, as expected. And then we ended up I finished my C2. I had done my C2HM earlier, but I feel like that didn't really pertain to my riding necessarily. So I finished it about a year later just because I didn't think Penelope and I were ready to do it at the time, like the riding portion of it. So we did our C2 riding, which there's going to be good and bad parts of everything. But I was actually really proud that I got exceed standards on my equitation over fences, which is good because this lady is actually the IEA trainer that I'm going to be working with. But yeah, that was such a fun little weekend, and I was so happy that I actually finished my C2. And my sister did her C1. Look at that little pony go. She was so good. This is the American Eventing Championships. This was one of the greatest weekends of my entire life. I had been looking forward to this for about, I don't know, probably 7 years. This has been my goal since almost as soon as I started riding, even before I started eventing, was to get here into place at the American Eventing Championships. Well, first my goal was to get there. Then it was like, okay, no, we should finish. And then this weekend, honestly, was like so surreal. We ended up placing 10th, which was crazy. This was kind of frustrating though. We didn't go double clear because we had speed vault time, because we went 1 minute and 44 seconds, I think, over or under the optimum time. So the course was supposed to take you like 4:47 or something like that, and it took us 4 minutes and 3 seconds. So we got quite a bit of speed vault time just because the little pony can run, but that's alright. It's a lot easier to slow down than to speed up. But thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, let me know, and I will see you all later. Love you all. Bye.